I've featured a number of San Martins here on my channel, and I continue to feature them here on Watch Chris because I think their quality is really very good for the price. Today we're taking a look at a watch that is well under $300, but it's one of the best made San Martins that I've ever featured here on my channel, and that's saying a lot because they are very well made. This is a GMT, it gets a beautiful dial, it gets on-the-fly micro adjust, all the specs and bells and whistles that you would expect from a high-end brand, but for well under $300. It's an homage, but it's not a direct homage to just one watch. It's actually a few watches. I'll talk about that in the video. So without further ado, let's flip the camera and take a look at one of the best San Martins that I've ever featured here on my channel. So yes, this is an homage. It's an homage watch to a few different watches actually. The dial, I would actually say, is an homage to Chapek. They recently came out with a dial that looks very similar to this, and I think they sort of saw that and made their own version for it. They call it a desert texture, so basically it looks like sand that's been windblown or something like that, so waves in sand. That's what the dial looks like. I think it looks really good. Obviously, this is also an homage to the Evo 9, the Evolution 9 from Grand Seiko, and maybe a few other watches that I can think of, maybe in the bracelet, you know, those major brands that many watches take inspiration from. Not only brands like San Martin, but AliExpress brands in general and many other brands. This gets a really interesting case that's really nicely made. The dial is really cool as well. It's very deeply textured. And right now this watch is on sale. We'll talk about that later on in the video, but this actually just recently went through a price drop. So I'll talk about that in just a few seconds, but the dial is very intricate. It looks really good. There's a lot of texturing and waving to that dial. You have an applied logo, applied indices. You have a surround around the date window. Down at the bottom, it says GMT in red. That matches the GMT hand, which is in red and loomed. And then you have a red tip on the second hand, sword hands that are sort of sword fence post hands. Those are filled with lume, and of course the indices are filled with lume as well. Usually San Martin do a very good job with lume. So you have a very detailed dial here. It's powered by an NH34, so a Seiko NH34 GMT. That means it's an office GMT or a military GMT, I think people are calling it now. All that means is that it is the GMT hand that skips when you are changing the GMT time in one direction, and in the other direction it changes the date. That's it. It basically works like a Seiko 5 GMT, essentially the same because it's exactly the same movement. You get a sapphire crystal on this watch with AR coating. It is domed and slightly raised off of that 24-hour solid stainless steel bezel, and it is fixed. So you have a fixed solid stainless steel bezel here, which looks really good, very crisp, very legible because you have black filling the numerals on the bezel, so it's really, really nice. The case has really nice finishing. There are really crisp transitions between the polishing and brushing, and you can see just from this one lug alone, there is polishing on the inside of the lug, then brushing, then a thick line of polish that goes down the entire case. Then you have brushing again, and then polishing again. So they went to town on this watch. The finishing is excellent. Even on the bezel, you have a line of polish around the bezel, then brushing, and then there's a little line underneath the bezel where you would never even see it that is also finished. So everything is really nicely finished. You have these crown guards, a beautifully signed crown with the San Martin logo, screwed in case back, which is sterile, pretty typical for San Martin. And then you have this beautiful 3-link bracelet with screwed links, solid end links, no quick release, which is kind of weird. Usually they offer that, however, they do not here. This does get polishing on the edges of the links, and then on the outer links you have brushing, center links are polished. So this is a dressy GMT. You can see on this side as well, that beautiful line of polish on the top and the bottom of the case. Really nice brushing on this side as well. Excellent finishing on this watch. It feels really premium in my hands. This is a very premium looking and very premium feeling watch. And when I tell you the price, it's going to blow you away. Size on this watch, if you measure it at the bezel, it's around a 38 millimeter watch. If you measure it at the case, because there is a significant step in size from the case to the bezel, it's around 39 and change. So it is larger at the case than it is at the bezel. You have about a 12.5 millimeter thick case. That's actually really good considering this is a GMT that is automatic. I don't think Seikos are that thin that actually have this movement. And you are getting 100 meters of water resistance and a domed sapphire crystal, not a mineral crystal. I do want to mention that as well. A 46 millimeter lug span, that's including the bracelet, because you do get female end links that bend completely down. And you have about a 6.3 millimeter screwed in crown and a screwed in case back. And that's where you're getting that 100 meters of water resistance. The 3-link bracelet, like I said, really nicely made. And that leads to the San Martin buckle. Pop this open, and of course you are getting on the fly micro adjust right there. And considering the price, that is pretty incredible. All you have to do is press this button right here. You pull in and out. You can see it slides really easily in and out. It's not incredibly smooth, but considering the price on this watch, this is really nicely made. This is milled. The entire buckle is really milled, and then you have the San Martin logo right there. It's nicely applied to the clasp itself. It looks fantastic. You have beautiful lines of polish here. Nothing is rough, nothing is sharp. Everything is really nicely made on this watch. It's very impressive for the price. We'll talk about price in just a second. Let me show you what I have on my wrist. Another impressive watch, especially considering the price. This is a colorful watch from San Martin. It's a diver with 200 meters of water resistance. A really nice shark mesh on here with micro adjust in the buckle on this watch. Lots of versatility. It's really cheap and just a really good watch for the price. This is the gradient purple, that's what they're calling it, the dial, the color here. So it goes from a black to a pretty dark purple towards the center, but it looks like a purple dial. It's definitely not going to be mistaken for anything else. They're offering this in a bunch of different colors. This is probably going to be one of the more popular colors because purple is pretty popular right now. And I gotta say, it does look good. It looks very, very rich on the wrist. It looks like a lot more of an expensive watch than it actually is. I have a 7.5 inch wrist. This is around 39 millimeters. I would say it wears like a 39 millimeter watch. A little bit big because of those crown guards, but I would say it wears like a 39, maybe a 39.5 millimeter watch, no bigger than that. The lug span is really, really tight on this. It's really a very short lug span considering that it's a 39 millimeter watch. At under 46 millimeters is what I measured. And then you have a pretty thin watch as well, considering it's a GMT at around 12.5 millimeters thick. You also get that micro adjust, a really nice buckle, beautiful bracelet, screwed links, by the way. A lot going into this watch for the price. Now, the price on this watch is right now at $255.56. I don't know why they added that on the AliExpress website. I will put a link to this watch down in the description below. That's a pretty insane price considering the quality of this watch and what you're getting and how expensive it actually looks. Originally, this was around $450 something, $458, something like that. $255 is pretty incredible, again, considering all of the specs. And you know what? Considering the lume as well, there is a lot of lume on the indices and hands very liberally applied, except for the second hand. They didn't put any lume on there. I would have liked to see a little bit of lume on the second hand, so of course I could see my watch is working in the dark. I always say that. However, with that being said, there is lume on the GMT hand. The hands are liberally applied, the indices very liberally applied. Very, very good, especially considering the price that it's at now when it's on sale. This is an excellent price at $255. There's not many watches out there that you can get with these specs, sapphire crystal, automatic movement. That's a GMT. It's a Seiko movement as well. The finishing, the quality, the micro adjust, all of that considered, this is insane. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of this watch? What do you think of the overall package that they're offering at this price? I want to hear what you guys think. I know San Martin gets a lot of hate sometimes because they do make a lot of homage watches, but they are doing something a little bit different with this, and they have made homages in the past, but they do a couple of little twists to them that don't make them direct copies, and this is not a direct copy of any watch, really. It looks very similar to a few, but this has a very different dial from anything that one brand would have come out with, or would ever come out with, actually. In my opinion, I don't think they would actually do something like this. Maybe they would. Maybe I'm wrong. But tell me what you think down in the comments below. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. And there is one thing I did not mention before. There is one thing on this watch that the Grand Seikos out there don't have. That is on-the-fly micro adjust. I forgot to mention that. So that is actually something they don't have that this does have. So that's not part of the homage here. They actually did that because they offer micro adjust on almost all of their watches now. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. Super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. I'll put a link to this watch down in the description below. If you're interested, definitely head on over to their website using the link down in the description. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.